What if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Welcome, everybody. I am Sherry Elise. I am a five-time published author and host of the TV show Good Morning Joy. And I am here in partnership with Brave Healer Publishing to introduce some of the amazing authors in one of their newest books called From Burnout to Burning Bright: Prevention, Healing, and Recovery. And before we get started and I introduce you to these amazing women, I first want to give shout out gratitude to their lead author, R. Scott Holmes. Thank you, Scott, first of all, for all you do in the world, but bringing all of these amazing people together to help so many that are struggling right now. This book is definitely a gift, and you all will find out here in just a moment. So let me introduce you to these fabulous women. First, I have Amelia South, and she is a no BS herbalist, an author and foraging teacher who helps you understand your body, mind, and herbs so healing actually makes sense. Next, I've got Dr. Ruchi, and she is a devoted mother, founder of Freedom and Empowerment Hypnotherapy with Ruchi Blends, medical expertise with RTT hypnotherapy, and spiritual wisdom to guide and empower women on their transformative journeys. And then lastly, we have Sinja Anna Bauman, and she is a meditation teacher and mantra singer, offering online courses as well as retreats in India that let you get to know yourself in a completely new way. I hope everybody is excited as I am to talk to these ladies. So first, thank you all so much for being here with me today. Really honored to about to have this conversation with you. I'm going to actually just jump right in, and I will start with you, Dr. Rucci. Can you share with us the name of your chapter, what chapter number, and then talk to us a little bit about your why behind writing it?
Gosh, thank you so much for having me here.
Yes.
Yes, so it's chapter number two, Listening to the Wound, and it's been an honor and pleasure to be able to do it. My biggest why is to make sure that every person, every human reading it knows that trauma is not a life statement. I went through childhood sexual abuse, but it could be anything else for you. It doesn't have to be the same. What happens is we create beliefs about ourselves. We carry the guilt and shame on our back. I help my clients get rid of that guilt and shame and move from victimhood to victory. The first time I wrote the chapter was for Voices of Impact, and I heard Mel Robbins interviewing Lewis House. And when he shared his journey of how he overcame the trauma of sexual abuse as a child, that was my turning point. Lots of other things happened in my journey, but that was a big turning point because I was like, rather than a victim, what if I could be Lewis for somebody else? In that moment, I just literally dropped everything and I was like, I want to be this person for somebody else. And that's where my speaking, my healing journey began. And of course, being an author as well. So, yeah.
Well, first, thank you for that. It was a beautifully written chapter. And interestingly enough, at 12 years old, at 12 years old, I watched Oprah Winfrey. I guess I aged myself. She was on, and she shared about her trauma for the first time. And I had the exact same experience that you had with Lewis Howes, where I said, I want to do that. And I want to be that same person. She is giving me permission right now. And so obviously I followed that route. But reading your story really, I know, is going to be the light for so many to be able to embrace that. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, it's for all of you, honestly, reading each of yours, the vulnerability in which you all showed up with to be able to share. Because what's beautiful about these books is that they share your personal stories, but then there's also, as they call the part of the your chapter, is the answer, because it's beautiful to be inspired, but to
Mm.
actually provide solutions, answers for people is so great. So again, just thank you for that. Sorry, I went on a little tirade there. I'm going to ask you the same question, Amelia. Tell us about the name of your chapter and your chapter number, and then also why. What is your why behind writing that?
So it's chapter 6, and the title is Letting Go, the Real Key to Getting What You Desire. Um, Scott found me and asked me to be part of this book probably 2 months after I felt like I was recovering from burnout. So it was all fresh right there.
Mhm.
And I know
You were
we
prime.
basically, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I had just finished writing my most recent book about my mental health journey. So I basically this chapter spat out of me in a couple of
Mm,
hours, and
wow.
um, it's it doesn't have anything to do with herbalism, not really. I mean, and that's fine because herbalism isn't always the only way you're going to heal. Mine is a lot of the mental spiritual health that I went through. I dealt with what is currently called dissociative identity disorder. I prefer, honestly, the older term of multiple personality disorder
Mhm.
because that makes more sense to what is actually going on in your head. And I actually had a similar experience with the person that ended up helping me heal all of this, very similar to what Dr. Rucci does and talks about. You know, maybe it's like hypnotism that kind of to actually heal the damage, all the childhood abuse that was done. And I wanted to get across in this chapter that it's possible. It's definitely possible to heal from all of these things. And it's also possible to open up yourself to manifesting what you desire. Like really, when you finally can let go of control, that's everybody's problem. Everybody's problem is they don't want to let go of control. Their internal parent is just grasped on, this is what I'm doing. I can control my universe. I can control the outcome of everything. But when you finally let go, that's when things start to happen. So I wanted to make sure, let everybody know that it's doable for everybody.
Yeah,
Mm.
it was interesting. I'm gonna say this with you too. Like what I loved about all of your chapters is that they were also relatable. I literally wrote down what you said to write down about like not having control because I was like, oh,
Yeah.
ding, ding, ding. I feel seen again. Like I'm being
Yeah.
called out in all of these. And I think that they're universal. And I it is a scary thing as you talk about letting go and trusting and manifesting for so many people. But reading your journey and seeing, and honestly as someone who creates content too, as you were talking about, I did 3 videos a day on TikTok, I did all of this, I was like, I feel it, I know it. So I
Yeah.
think that people are really going to relate, especially this day and age, to that constant churn and productivity and
Yeah.
going and going. um I know you said, do you believe that everybody on some level has control challenges?
Yes,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, until even I have trouble letting go sometimes. If
Hmm.
I want this thing to happen in my life, and you focus so much on wanting this thing to happen that it's hard to realize, well, all I have to do is kind of like stop wanting it so much, and then
Yeah.
it can have a chance to come in.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to let that go. And like I said in the chapter, I'm like, I'm a farmer. Like I have to be controlling like the outcome. I have to control what the plants do. I have to control the garden, and you can't control the weather.
Right.
Things
Yeah, I thought that,
happen.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I thought that was so interesting. Yeah, to see that here's someone who has to be in control so much in the work that they do, but also giving that life universal lesson of having to let go of control and finding that. It was, yeah, definitely an interesting read for sure. And
Thank
journey
you.
you're on.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you,
Thank you.
Sinja? Thank you again so much for being here. Share with us the name and title, the name and title, the name and your chapter number, and talk to us about your why.
Thank you for having me here. It's really wonderful to also hear from everybody. And my chapter is number 8, From Self-Criticism to Self-Love, The Power of Sitting with Yourself. So that was just something that unfolded in my life. And I really wanted to share the story of how I got here because many people see me now and they're like, oh, you live such a great life. You spend your time in India, you travel, you do whatever you kind of want to do. But they don't know where I came from because when the dark stuff was going on, that was not what I wanted to share, right? That's not, it feels like a burden. And I always kind of felt like my story isn't quite complete. And it actually felt so liberating to write about what it was like in my head because I think
Mm.
actually many people can relate. And it's just something that we don't really talk about. We don't want to talk about how like the dark corners, and we don't want to make it even bigger. Like also in terms of like manifesting, I don't want to even,
Mm.
even speak about it. But it was really liberating to write about it and just hearing, like sharing it with even with my family was very beautiful, liberating, vulnerable, and connecting. And I just hope that it kind of inspires this kind of openness and also dialogue with people because I'm more on the prevention side. I never experienced burnout, but this is definitely something that, like, the meditation and everything that I found is that has definitely saved me from going down that path because otherwise, like, the mind has the ability to drive you pretty crazy. And yeah, it's just a whole new world that unfolds when we kind of meet ourselves in a loving, kind way. And we see that, we can take that step back and just look at the whole scene from a different perspective. Yeah.
And you 100%, I felt that prevention aspect of there because I thought, man, can you get burnout if you like meditate regularly, if you sit with yourself, if you're compassionate with yourself, because you sit in a lot more awareness, and things don't escape you. So I love that you did provide that answer for people, because I think, well, I know that we all have that voice inside, that one that wants to critique and talk about the not good enough and haven't done enough and all of that. And that I believe, and from what I'm reading, that awareness to transform that into love and to be kind with yourself, that that can help you from stepping and crossing those boundaries. Um, and so let me ask you this, and then I'll ask all of you, sometimes can people can be on that edge, right, of burnout and not even realize it. What advice would you give to people about that awareness, to what kind of awareness? You can get specific what you provided in your answer if that feels right, but yeah, because I do think that that burnout, sometimes we're just going and we're in that mode and then we don't even realize that we're there until the body begins to break down or whatever that journey is for somebody.
Yeah. And I would say the first signs that you feel, tap into your own knowingness. Like, give
Mm.
yourself some space. Sit, maybe draw, maybe write, and just see what comes out. And your body will already tell you where you're at. Even when our minds, we have all these plans and we know what we want to do, we have like the next years mapped out. But does like our body has all the wisdom kind of, and especially that space in which we even hold our own body, our own nervous system, in which we observe that. If we give ourselves that space, just sit and maybe even find a mantra and repeat it over and over again, because that gives the brain some space to, kind of do whatever, process whatever it needs to process, but you're present with yourself. And then sometimes thoughts come up that are like real revelations where you just hear yourself and you kind of tune into yourself. And I think, I think like in general, what a stressed out mind needs is not solutions, it needs space. And
Mm.
if we can just sit and give ourselves that space, and it doesn't even have to be that long, but just to make that stand, like, I'm here with you now. Let's just sit and just be aware of what's happening. And
Mm.
that's like a really, like, it's such a powerful first step. It has been for me, and I see it in people around me. And and then you can go from there and just trust that wisdom inside.
Oh, I have to tell you that as you said that, my whole nervous system literally went, because talking to someone, especially that are high achievers, as soon as they have that awareness, say they get it, they immediately want to find a solution and find an answer. And then you're going back into that like producing mode. So to be able to say to someone, just sit. And then there's also, I feel like as I hear that trust that wisdom will be there, trust that you will be provided whatever direction is the next one. And maybe it's just, as you say, sitting there. So that's beautiful. I love that. I love that so much. What about you, Amelia? Is there any advice that you would want to give to people about finding that awareness or awareness in general about burnout?
So, um, trusting your intuition seems to be something that's a little bit easier for women to do than men most of the time, I've noticed. But if you, even if you're, no matter what your gender affiliation is, if you can trust that there's some kind of message going to come to you, the best, easiest, simplest, cheapest thing you can do is go for a walk somewhere in nature. If you can go into the woods, that's my favorite thing. Like what I'll do, especially if I'm so stressed out, I'm like, oh my God, where's the answer? I don't know what to do about this. I don't know what to do about that. I'm so freaked out. I will go for a hike, even if it's just a short little something in the woods. And right at the edge of the trail, before I go into the woods, I just look up at the trees or the sky or whatever, and I say, you know, spirit of the forest, whoever's listening, if there's a message for me that I need to receive, please give it to me while I'm in the forest. And it sounds goofy, like to say that, like say it out loud. Who cares if anybody's listening? But every time I've done that, I come out of that walk or that hike or wherever it is, having either found something that I've been looking for ages, something, downloads into my mind, or I can relax all of a sudden, even just sit. I'll get halfway down the trail and have this just urge to sit and exist for a few minutes, and like look at nature. Nature's not rushing and freaking out about their next the next $100 they're going to make or whatever. Look at all those little tiny insects crawling on the moss and stuff. Like when you just do that, it lowers your blood pressure. I mean, if nothing else, calming down and looking at nature and then just being in the fresh air and everything. So, but every time I've done that, like I come out of it with some kind of answer or at least feeling better, and
Yeah.
that's anybody can do that.
Oh, 100%. I'm a daily hiker. Although I will say I've been going through it. Not that everyone needs to know although I've been sharing my own personal journey, but like the last 3 months have not. And that's the first time in 20 years that I have not gone for a daily hike over the last 3 months.
I feel you. The weather's been horrible.
Yeah. And it's like, and it is this moment. I feel I walk in with a lot of the stuff, but as I continue that walk, and I continue to let go at the end, I'm like, it's like this whole birthing of within. And sometimes there are answers and not. And what I find interesting in what you're saying is because I can hear people that are potentially in burnout or don't like, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. But I love you saying
Do
like,
it anyway.
yeah. And you could just step outside and give yourself for people that are people that are in burnout are, I'm assuming, just very on the go. So, what about just stepping outside, right? Looking at the sky, giving yourself that moment, hand on the heart, and being able to just sit in nature for that moment. So, I love hearing you saying anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can handle 5 minutes, trust me.
Yeah. And it does de it just decompresses you in a way that I don't think people realize because when you are in that constant churn, like you don't even think you have that moment and that'll do miracles. Okay, anyway, to you, Dr. Rucci,
Yes.
I'm going to ask you the same question. Any advice or anything for people on the verge?
I was mesmerized by the answers from Amelia and Sinja both because I've got the framework and self-compassion, self-love. Yesterday, I went for this long walk because I was messed up in my head. And then, yes, as you rightly said, things sort out. What I would like to really add on in very simplistic terms is like, we live in this world where we are told everything is outside. Questions are outside, answers are outside. Go get this and you'll be satisfied. The journey is inside out. Just remembering that the journey is inside out. Let your doing come from your being. Now, saying that again, I am also learning that every single day. So all the things, Amelia and Cinta rightly said, being present with yourself, taking 5 minutes in the day just to be present, not in the past, not in the future. Like I'll sit with my smoothie for 5 minutes. Those 5 minutes, I'm not making any lists. I'm not thinking about 3 weeks ahead. I am in that moment with myself. Nothing else exists. Just that moment exists, right? And then, Sinja also talked about intuition. That's the most beautiful guide. But it's like, if you want to have a reflection of the moon on a lake, the lake needs to be still. The lake can't be ruffled. You won't receive anything, isn't it? So that's why that stillness, whatever you believe in, higher power, higher consciousness, divine, we are spiritual beings who chose to have this existence, just we're not living in this bubble. There's so much more. So if you just open, you will receive the message. One last thing, which kind of was an eye opener for me. I would really encourage the audience to think what is their definition of success. Now, be very clear here, not what your teacher told, not what your spouse feels, not what you have nothing to prove to anyone because comparison is a lie. There is no comparison. There is only one you in this entire world, and nobody else can be better at being you than you. So there's no comparison. Now, in that perspective, what is your definition of success? Not everybody's definition of success is 10 houses and 10 cars, right? So just focus on that. And if you work towards your definition of success, burnout is impossible because you're not living somebody else's dream. Burnout is like, oh my God, I have lived half of my life. What am I going towards? Is that what I really want? We go like this. So be clear on that. And then one step a day, just one tiny step a day. If you're feeling completely overwhelmed or like, I'm a recovering perfectionist, you're like, again, control, like, plan this, plan this, plan this. No analysis paralysis. One small step a day. When I'm in overwhelm, oh, I don't know what to do right now. Okay. I can still stay still and take that next small step. Yeah.
Beautiful. I know so many people are going to get so much. They're going to receive so much from that. So thank you for that. Last question I'm going to ask you, ladies. Sinja, talk to me about what is the most important thing that you want people to know about, straight from your title, the power of sitting with yourself.
Wow.
Mhm.
Well, that's really, it's kind of an honor to be able to answer this question, like to
Yeah.
open that door. Um, that we see the world in one way, but that is not the full picture. And when we sit with ourselves and we experience firsthand the vastness that we actually are and the incredible potential that this being is, and also the incredible ability to shower this system, this nervous system, body, mind, complex wonder, with love and with kindness and with gratitude, and that it like flourishes from there. We realize how much power we have in our life and how much we can live, Dr. Ritchie, like you just said, from the inside out. The growth is happening, the release is happening from the inside out, and we can fill our own cup, like we can make it overflow. And that's the gift we can give ourselves every single day. And all it takes is the most natural thing to just sit and don't strive for a moment. Let the thoughts strive, but you're not your thoughts. And you can really observe that by just taking that step back. I'm just going to watch. I'm not going to interact and I'm not going to react. So whatever is happening here is fine. It's all fine. Once the teacher here said, when you close your eyes and you sit with yourself, just become still and love yourself as much as you can. And I find that's also not the easiest thing to do, but it's such a nice aspiration, like such a nice intention to just sit with and give yourself that space of total security and peace, because that's what we have inside. And then the need and the urgency to try and find it outside, to create it in some situation, in some circumstance will be so much less because we know it's actually already there.
Mm-hmm. Mm, beautiful. You could tell the beauty that lies within all of us, but specifically within you as you sat with that question. Like you could just feel that, like of what you experience when you sit with yourself. And I know for me, it just makes me want to go, oh, I want to go sit with myself more. So thank you for that. Thank you. That was beautiful. Amelia, what is the most important thing that you want people to know about letting go?
Oh gosh. Well, it's to let go. Now you just made me think like, oh, I love hanging out with myself. That's why I spend so much time in the woods by myself.
Yeah.
I'm my
Yeah.
favorite person. That's the hard part for most people. Like they're afraid to be alone.
Hmm.
That's another whole thing you have to learn how to do is to be happy, uncomfortable being alone and loving yourself and choosing yourself first.
Hmm.
Especially as a mother. I don't know if any of you have kids. I have kids, and Western society teaches you put your kids first, absolutely put your kids first. But it's like, it's not that I don't love my kids, but if I don't put me first, I won't be there for my kids.
Right.
So you have to put yourself first. So, but the whole concept of letting go it's just that you can't control everything. You have to live your days like you don't know. You could get in a car accident tomorrow and be gone. You
Mm,
never know.
mm,
You have no control over it, and accepting that on some level, or at least reminding yourself that that's true without like freaking out, oh my gosh, what if I get in a car accident? Don't worry about that. I mean, just
Right.
like
Right. Yeah.
not don't get the circular thoughts thing going, but allowing yourself to say, you know what, there is some kind of higher power out there that's probably pulling some strings for me. This is what I want, universe. The universe, this is what I want. Send it to me in whatever way you choose. Stop
Yeah.
trying to control the outcome. Stop trying to control how things get to you. That's for me. This whole project is I stopped trying to control stuff. This showed up in my lap.
Yeah.
Great. Hopefully,
Mm.
my words help somebody, hit somebody just the right way. It'll work out for all of us in some way, But you can let go of control. It's easier
Yeah.
than you think. It's doable.
It is doable. I always get this image when I think about letting go or holding on, even that when someone tries to hold on to something or a person, there's like this strangulation almost. And what does
Yeah.
that thing want to do? It wants to pull away. And so I
mm,
often think about holding on like, yeah, to the universe. I was like, well, of course you're not going to receive and there's nothing going to flow. You're like strangling it. And what will
mm,
happen when you release the grip? So I think
mm.
letting go is a powerful lesson, and people are going to 100% be able to receive that in reading your chapter. So thank you. Lastly, Dr. Rucci, talk to us about the most important thing you want people to know about listening to their wounds.
Sure. Okay. So first and foremost, I would say, like, if you have anything holding, oh, my mom should have done that, my dad should have done that. And if you becoming your own loving parent, okay? It's not woo-woo. It's a very simple thing you can do in the day. First thing in the day, I've been doing it for 5 years, and it changes the energy of your day. I mean, you're very welcome to do if you so wish. So what I tell my clients, and so basically just put your phone up. You can look at yourself in your eye, right? So Ruchi, I love you truly, deeply, and unconditionally. I love and accept all parts of you. I love being your loving parent. Right, that's it.
Mm.
So, I mean, well, I used to say this as a self-love mirror exercise, but I've got a friend, she's got 3 kids. She's like, how many things can you do first thing in the morning? And that's how it became the self-love phone exercise because I'm like, yeah, I agree, stuff happens. We all carry our phones everywhere, right? So because there is no comparison, parents are also human beings. As a kid, you look up to them like they are sorted. And then when you become a parent, you're like, no, I'm still sorting out life, right? So rather than you become your own loving parent. I've got a 5-year-old on my vision board. It's like I parent my little Ruchi and I parent my kid as well. So,
Hmm.
first, I'm a parent to my 5-year-old self. And what gift do I give? Emotional regulation. Yes, it's not easy, but once you do that, you will bring more peace to yourself and to any other human being that you react with, be it your partner, your child, your parent, doesn't matter. So, stepping back, something happened, and my marriage was struggling because of my emotional regulation issues not so long back, maybe 5 years back. Choosing to, okay, this is happening, but I'm not the thought, I'm not the emotion. Even if an overpowering emotion comes, I can step back from the emotion and respond rather than react, right? It's step by step, but when you don't build a bridge in stormy times. You build a bridge first. So when you can do that on a daily basis, so if you're having a very difficult day, you can do the stepping back much easier. So yeah. So I would say, I know I said a whole lot of things, but all I would say is if
Yeah.
you could do the self-love mirror exercise first thing in the day, you give up the need of having that validation from other people. So praise or criticism, both way, if you're okay, you are able to validate yourself rather than waiting for somebody else to do it.
Amazing. Amazing. All of you ladies are amazing. I want to thank you three so much for what you do in the world and for being here to share it with everyone. And to our listeners, this is way more than a book. This is, as you can tell, a generous community who is there for you to answer any questions, right? To carry on conversations and to support you with your journey. So if anything that we spoke about today resonated with you, please go down to the show notes where we shared with you the author's links and feel free to explore. They are happy to connect and share what they have going on. And then, of course, we hope that you hop on over to Amazon and grab your copy of this amazing book. The link is also below. And then, lastly, to the Brave Healer community, they want you to know that to remember that your words will change the world when you are brave enough to share them. It is time to be brave. We will see you next time, everyone. Thank you, ladies, so much for being here today. And go grab their book.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.